What if I told you there's a mindset so transformative, so deeply empowering, that the no-contact rule feels like child's play by comparison? You see, no contact still keeps you hooked, hoping, waiting, and constantly wondering if they'll ever come back. But this approach doesn't rely on silence or disappearing. Instead, it turns you into someone so strong, so self-assured, that they're left questioning everything. Not because you vanished, but because you became someone they can no longer reach, someone they'll regret ever letting go. This isn't about playing mind games. It's not about sitting by your phone like a heartbroken dreamer, desperate for a message that may never come. No, this is about reclaiming control over yourself, your emotions, and your future. It's about becoming so unshakable that by the time they realize the depth of their mistake, you'll have already moved on, thriving in ways they never imagined. Let me tell you the story of a man who hit rock bottom after heartbreak, just like you might be feeling right now. He thought no contact would be his salvation, but it wasn't enough. Not until he discovered something far greater, the power to master himself. And by mastering himself, he gained control of his life, his happiness, and ultimately, his destiny. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to develop that same power, a tool so life-changing that it won't just make them miss you, it'll make them question every choice they ever made. So, if you're ready to stop the pain and start taking charge, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. Say it with me: I control my destiny. Let's start. Number 1. The Fall. A man broken by love. He never saw it coming. One moment, she was everything. His world revolved around late-night talks, shared dreams, inside jokes, and deep conversations that made him believe they had something real, something unshakable. Then, without warning, it all crumbled. No heartfelt explanation, no closure. Just a cold, detached goodbye that cut through him like a blade to the chest. He stood there, frozen, reading and rereading that final message, as if somehow, by staring hard enough, he could make sense of it all. But the truth? It never made sense. It never does. The days that followed were a blur of torment. The rooms felt hollow, the silence suffocating. Every song reminded him of her. The bed that once held warmth now felt like a vast, empty void. Even his phone, once a lifeline of connection, was painfully quiet. Her laugh echoed in his mind, haunting him. He could still see her face, the way she used to look at him, like he was her everything. But now she looked at him as though he didn't exist, worse than a stranger, like he was nothing. And that was the deepest wound. Not just the fact that she left, but how effortlessly she moved on, as if he had been nothing more than a temporary chapter in her life. She erased him, deleted him from her world, and yet he couldn't do the same. His mind became a war zone. He was torn between anger and heartbreak, between wanting to despise her and desperately wanting her back. He tortured himself with endless questions. What did I do wrong? Was I too available? Too loving? Not enough? He agonized over every memory, trying to pinpoint the moment it all fell apart. The nights grew longer. Sleep became impossible as he replayed their story over and over in his mind. And then the advice started pouring in from well-meaning friends. Go no contact, they told him. Disappear. Make her miss you. It sounded simple enough. So he tried. He deleted her number, stopped checking her social media, and fought the overwhelming urge to reach out whenever his fingers hovered over the keyboard. He convinced himself he was being strong, that if he could just vanish from her life, she'd eventually realize what she had lost. But deep down, he knew the truth. He wasn't really moving on. He was still trapped, still tied to her in ways he didn't fully understand. Every day, he checked his phone, hoping for a message that never came. He scrolled through old photos, tortured by the thought that maybe, just maybe, she had never truly cared. He told himself he was healing, but in reality, he was still waiting for her to have a sudden epiphany, to wake up one day and regret leaving. But that day never came. And that's when it finally hit him. No contact wasn't enough. It was a temporary fix, a bandage over a deep wound. As long as his happiness hinged on her return, as long as he craved her validation to feel whole, he would remain weak. And weakness is never attractive. She didn't respect him when he was broken, and she certainly wouldn't respect him for sitting around, clinging to the hope of a reunion. He was playing a game he had already lost. But something within him began to shift. He realized he didn't need to win her back. He needed to master himself, his emotions, his mind, his life. True strength comes from within, not from someone else's approval. And the moment he understood that, everything began to change. By mastering his emotions, he freed himself from the past. He wasn't waiting anymore. He wasn't hoping. He was building a future for himself, a future where he no longer needed anyone else to define his worth. If this story resonates with you, it's time to reclaim your power. Like this video, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Say it with me. I master my emotions. Number 2, the truth about no contact. Why it's not enough. We've all heard it before. Go no contact, cut her off. She'll realize what she lost and come running back. It's the advice everyone gives when you've been dumped, ghosted, or replaced. At first, it sounds like a brilliant plan, a silent battle of wills, a test of who can hold out the longest. You disappear, you vanish from her world, and then you wait. You play out fantasies in your mind. You imagine her checking her phone, feeling a pang of regret, searching for you, stalking your social media, wondering what happened to the man she left behind. You convince yourself that any day now she'll break down, missing you as deeply as you miss her. But here's the truth no one wants to tell you. Most of the time, that moment you're waiting for never comes, at least not in the way you expect. No contact might seem powerful on the surface, but it only works if you truly let go of the problem. And let's be honest, most men don't. They don't heal. They don't evolve. They simply wait. They treat no contact like a tactic, not a transformation. Every day is consumed with thoughts of her. You're still checking your phone, still hoping for that message, still dreaming about her return. But waiting, my friend, is just another form of weakness. It keeps you trapped. As long as you're holding on to that hope, she still controls you. And here's the thing, women can sense this. They know when a man is merely pretending to move on. They can feel it when he's still emotionally tied to them, even if he never speaks a word. That's why no contact often fails, because deep down, you're still giving her power, and she knows it. So what happens next? Instead of missing you, she moves on for real. Maybe after a few weeks, she'll check in. Not because she wants you back, but because she's curious. She wants to see if you're still there, still holding on to her memory. It's a small ego boost for her, a hit of validation. And when she sees that you still care, that you respond quickly, eagerly, as if you've been waiting the entire time, she walks away again. Only this time, she feels even more confident in her choice to leave. For many men, this is where they break. That tiny bit of attention is enough to fuel a dangerous illusion. They think, this is it, she's coming back. In their excitement, they make the fatal mistake. They show their cards. They reveal that they were never truly detached. They reply too quickly, engage too enthusiastically, and expose the truth, that they were waiting the entire time. And in that moment, she knows. She knows she made the right decision to leave. You were just a game she already won. So if no contact isn't enough, what is the solution? How do you truly move forward? The answer isn't silence. It isn't disappearing and hoping for her return. The answer is becoming a man she can no longer reach, not through a facade of indifference, but through genuine transformation. You need to cultivate a life so full and meaningful that her absence no longer matters. When you reach a point where you don't care, truly don't care, that's when everything changes. She will only feel the loss when she sees that she no longer affects you, not because you're faking it, but because you're genuinely free. By the time she realizes what she let go of, you won't be waiting for her anymore. You'll be too busy living your best life. And if she does reach out again, because eventually they always do, you won't even flinch. You'll simply move forward, untouched, unbothered, and in full control. So, if you're ready to master your emotions and take your life back, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. I need no one. I choose myself. Number 3. The power of indifference. Beyond no contact. At first, he thought no contact was the magic solution. If he could just stay silent long enough, surely she would start to miss him. He believed she would reach out once she realized what she had lost. But as the days dragged on, a harsh truth began to surface. No contact wasn't enough. Why? Because deep down, he was still waiting, still hoping, still giving her space in his mind, letting her linger there as if she had permanent residency. Every day spent thinking of her was proof that she still had control over him. And as long as he cared, even in silence, he remained trapped in weakness. That's when he made a life-altering decision. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more pretending that no contact was enough. He needed something stronger, something she would never see coming: indifference. This wasn't just about ignoring her. It was about removing her from the equation entirely. Her opinions, her feelings, her potential regrets, they no longer mattered. He erased her presence from his world. No more checking her social media. No more wondering who she was with. No more leaving the door open, just in case. She decided to return. Because here's the truth: no contact is just silence. And silence still holds emotional weight. It still carries the tension of unspoken pain, the echo of waiting for something to happen. But indifference is pure power. Indifference removes that emotional charge. It signals to the other person that you are truly free, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Indifference is what makes people panic. It forces them to question everything. When someone who once adored you suddenly treats you like a stranger, like just another face they could pass on the street without a second thought. That's when the real weight of loss sinks in. And that's exactly what happened. At first, she didn't notice. She assumed he was just playing the same game as every other man, waiting, hurting in silence, hoping she'd eventually come back. But then, something shifted. His absence wasn't temporary. It wasn't a tactic. It was real. His energy had changed. He hadn't just stopped talking to her, he had outgrown her. One day, out of curiosity, she checked his social media, expecting to see the same man she had left behind. Maybe a few sad posts, subtle quotes, meant to catch her attention. But what she found was something entirely different. He wasn't sulking. He wasn't leaving breadcrumbs for her to follow. He wasn't playing games. He was thriving, living his life fully, confidently, and without hesitation. He looked better, stronger, and more self-assured. And worst of all, she was no longer a part of his story. That's when it hit her. Regret. Why isn't he broken? Why isn't he trying to win me back? Did I make a mistake? Suddenly, she wasn't so sure anymore. Because when a man moves on without hesitation, when he completely detaches, it forces people to reevaluate their own worth. She had assumed he would always be there, that she could return whenever it suited her. But now she wasn't so sure. And that's the secret. Indifference is more powerful than silence. It's more powerful than absence. People don't crave what they can ignore. They crave what they can't control. When you reach this level of detachment, you don't need to block her. You don't need to make a grand announcement of your departure. You simply become someone they can never reach again. So if you're ready to reclaim your power, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. I am untouchable. Number 4. The dark side of attraction. Why they always come back. She thought she had the upper hand when she walked away. She assumed he'd collapse under the weight of heartbreak, sinking into regret, waiting patiently for the day she might get bored and return to him. That's what most men do, right? They beg, plead, and try to bargain for love, as if love is a negotiation. But this time, something different happened. He didn't chase her. He didn't try to change her mind. Instead, he vanished. Not just from her life, but from her mind entirely. At first, she didn't even notice. She was too caught up in her newfound freedom, filling her days with distractions, maybe even exploring other connections. She assumed he was still suffering in the background, quietly waiting like so many others before him. But as time passed, a strange feeling began to creep in. Where was he? Why wasn't he checking her stories? Why wasn't he waiting in the wings like every other man? That's when the panic hit. You see, human nature is predictable. People often take for granted what's readily available. But when faced with the possibility of losing someone forever, fear sets in. She began to feel it, this gnawing doubt, this unsettling curiosity. He wasn't just ignoring her, he had moved on completely. And with that realization, everything shifted. The man who once adored her, who would have done anything to keep her, had become a mystery. He was now unattainable, and nothing is more compelling than a person who is out of reach. This is the dark truth about attraction. People are drawn to what they can't control. They crave what feels scarce and unattainable. When you remove yourself from someone's world, not just physically, but emotionally, you create a void that demands attention. And that's why they always come back. Not because they genuinely miss you, not because they've suddenly realized your worth. No, it's because they can't stand the thought that you don't need them anymore. The loss of control is what haunts them. Suddenly, she starts checking his social media more frequently. She's looking for any sign that he still cares. Maybe she throws out a subtle test, liking an old photo, sending a "hope you're doing well" text, or even acting as though nothing ever happened. It's not a heartfelt attempt to reconcile. It's a move to reclaim power. She wants to know if she still has an effect on him. If he reacts, if he engages, she wins. Her fear of loss vanishes. But if he doesn't respond, if he shows no interest, she spirals. And this is where most men fail. They mistake her curiosity for genuine regret. They think, this is it. She's finally realizing what she lost. Overwhelmed with excitement, they react too quickly. They show their hand, revealing that they were still waiting all along. And the moment they do, she regains her power, her confidence. The fear of loss fades, and she walks away once again. But not this man, not this time. He's learnt the truth. He is the prize. He doesn't need to prove his value. He embodies it. His worth isn't tied to anyone else's approval. By the time she finally reaches out, expecting to find the same man she left behind, she's met with someone entirely different. Someone colder, someone who sees her not as his future, but as a lesson from his past. And that's when the full weight of regret crashes down on her. Not because she lost him, but because he no longer cares. So, if you're ready to reclaim your power and break free from the cycle, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. I am the prize. Number 5. The Stoic transformation, turning pain into power. The man he used to be. That man would have chased her. He would have clung to every tiny shred of attention, a liked photo, a short reply, desperately reading into every gesture, hoping to find some sign that she still cared. He would have stayed trapped in his own mind, overanalyzing every word, every look, searching for hope where there was none. But that man is gone. This time, he isn't just moving on. He's transforming, not for her, not to win her back, not to impress anyone, but for himself. Pain is a powerful thing. For most men, it becomes a prison. They fall into a cycle of regret, self-doubt, and endless suffering. They let heartbreak define them, weaken them, and control them. But for a rare few, those who understand the essence of Stoicism, pain becomes something else entirely. It becomes fuel, a weapon, a catalyst for rebirth. The difference between the weak and the strong is simple. The weak allow pain to break them, while the strong use it to evolve. And that's exactly what he did. Instead of running from the pain, he faced it head-on. He sat with it. He let it shape him, sharpen him. Every moment of heartbreak became a lesson. Every ounce of suffering became motivation. He stopped wasting his time dwelling on the past, stopped replaying old memories, and hoping for what might have been. Instead, he focused his energy on a single mission, becoming unbreakable. It started with his mind. Emotional control became his foundation. He turned to Stoicism, the ancient philosophy that had guided warriors, leaders, and emperors through centuries of hardship. He trained himself to master his emotions rather than be ruled by them. He learned the art of detachment, focusing only on what he could control and accepting reality without resistance. Where before he was reactive, now he was calm. Where once he was shaken by every little disappointment, now he was steady and untouchable. But his transformation didn't stop there. The mind of a warrior must be matched by the body of one. He took all the energy he had once wasted on sorrow and poured it into self-discipline. The gym became his battlefield. Every rep, every set, every drop of sweat was a silent promise to himself. I will never be weak again. His physique changed, his posture straightened, the way he carried himself, the way he walked into a room, it all transformed. People noticed, but the most profound change wasn't physical. It was in his presence. He no longer needed validation from anyone. He no longer sought approval or attention, and because he needed nothing, he began to attract everything. The same people who once overlooked him were now drawn to him. The same woman who thought she could replace him now watched from afar, wondering what she had lost. He wasn't trying to prove anything to her or to anyone else. His power came from within. This is the essence of true strength, not seeking revenge, not chasing after validation, but becoming so undeniably valuable that the past becomes irrelevant. He didn't just move on, he elevated himself, so far beyond her reach that she became nothing more than a footnote in his story. Because in the end, the ultimate victory isn't making them regret losing you. It's becoming someone they could never have again. If you're ready to channel your pain into power and start your own transformation, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. Pain makes me stronger. Number 6. Silent domination. Winning without words. The man he used to be felt the need to prove something. He would have posted vague, cryptic quotes meant to catch her attention, flaunted his progress on social media, and waited for her to notice. He hoped that by showing off his so-called success, she'd regret leaving. But that version of him no longer exists. The man he has become has no need to prove anything. His success speaks for itself. This is the art of silent domination. No need for words, no explanations, no dramatic announcements, just consistent, quiet action. While others waste their time obsessing over how to make their ex notice them, he directs all of his energy toward one thing: elevating his life. He has come to understand a simple yet powerful truth. The most dangerous man in any room is the one who speaks the least but accomplishes the most. He doesn't block her out of spite. He doesn't delete old photos in anger. He doesn't engage in childish games designed to provoke a reaction. He simply removes his energy from her completely, and that's what unsettles her most. Not his absence, but the fact that it feels as though he was never even there. No closure, no lingering emotions, just nothing. At first, she shrugs it off. He's just pretending, she tells herself. He's trying to get under my skin. But as time passes, that explanation doesn't hold up. Doubt begins to creep in. Why isn't he watching my stories? Why hasn't he reached out? Why doesn't he care anymore? Did I misjudge him? She had expected him to be bitter, to resent her, to make desperate attempts for attention. But instead, she is met with silence, indifference, absence. And this is where the true mind games begin. Not ones he is actively playing, but the ones her own mind conjures. When someone who once loved you suddenly erases you from their world, it forces you to reflect. She starts remembering things she once ignored. The way he treated her, the way he was always there, until he wasn't. Her curiosity intensifies. She brings up his name in casual conversations, hoping for updates. She scrolls through his social media, searching for signs that he still cares. But what she finds is far more unsettling than she expected. He's not just surviving, he's thriving. He looks healthier, stronger. His life seems full of purpose and joy. He radiates confidence. And worst of all, he's not looking back. This is the moment when regret begins to sink in. She realizes that while she was busy entertaining distractions, he was evolving into the man she always wanted, but now can never have. This is why winning without words is so powerful. True victory doesn't come from trying to convince someone of your worth. It comes from becoming so undeniably valuable that they can no longer deny it. By now, he fully understands the secret. Energy speaks louder than words. He doesn't need to post updates about how much he's changed. He doesn't need to announce his growth. People can feel it. Through his presence, his demeanor, his actions. His success speaks on his behalf. And when the inevitable moment comes, when she finally reaches out, hoping to reconnect or catch a glimpse of the man she once knew, she'll discover that he's long gone. Because the ultimate power move isn't proving them wrong. It's making them realize they were never even a factor in your success. If you're ready to claim your power through quiet action, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. I let my actions speak. Number 7. The social shift, creating an aura of mystery. At first, he thought disappearing completely was the key. If he could just vanish, she'd be left wondering, missing him, regretting everything. But then he had a revelation. Absence can be too easy to explain. She would assume he was still bitter, still hurt, avoiding her out of weakness. But a man who is present yet unreadable, that's the one who stays on her mind. He didn't block her. He didn't go on an attention-seeking spree. Instead, he became unpredictable. He shifted from being an open book to a puzzle she couldn't solve. No sad quotes, no indirect posts, no obvious attempts to get noticed. He was present, but only selectively, intentional with every move. A glimpse here, a brief moment there. Just enough to make her curious, but never enough for her to fully understand him. This is the art of the social shift. You don't disappear, you evolve, right in front of them. You move in silence, leaving behind subtle clues. A photo that hints at a life she's no longer part of. A brief story that shows you're thriving, but offers no context. No captions are crying for attention, no dramatic explanations, just quiet, undeniable confidence. And that's when it starts to get to her. She begins to wonder, what's changed? Is he seeing someone new? Has he outgrown me? Was he always this strong, and I just never noticed? These thoughts gnaw at her. She starts checking his social media more often, waiting for a sign, anything to confirm her suspicions. But she finds nothing, no emotional outbursts, no resentment, just a man who is clearly moving forward and thriving. The more she tries to figure him out, the more frustrated she becomes. She thought she knew him, thought she had him figured out, that he would always be the one who cared more. But now, he feels like a stranger, a mystery. And that's the power of mystery. Because here's the truth. People don't obsess over what they understand. They become obsessed with what confuses them. They are drawn to what they can't fully grasp. The moment you become unreadable, untouchable, and unpredictable, that's when you start to occupy their mind. But here's the real power move. You don't do any of this to win her back. You don't create mystery as a tactic to manipulate her emotions. You do it because you've outgrown the need to explain yourself. Your life is yours now, and she no longer has access to it. Not because you shut her out, but because you've chosen to rise above. And that's what makes her regret everything. So, if you're ready to take control of your story and become a mystery to the world, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. I am a mystery. Number 8. The ultimate test. When she reaches out. It always happens. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually she reaches out. It could be a simple, "Hey, how have you been?" A casual reaction to one of your posts. Maybe she brings up an old memory, just to see if it still holds meaning. Sometimes it's as subtle as liking a picture or viewing your story. Just a small reminder that she still exists. But don't be fooled. This is no accident. It's a test. And most men fail right here. The moment that message arrives, emotions surge to the surface. Their heart races. Their mind floods with memories. Suddenly, everything they've worked on, every bit of progress, vanishes in an instant. They convince themselves, "This is it. This is my chance." She finally realized what she lost. Before they know it, they're right back where they started. They respond too quickly, too eagerly. They try to play it cool, but the excitement slips through, and just like that, she knows she still has power over them. The game repeats. But not this man. He's different now. He's spent too much time rebuilding himself to crumble at the first sign of attention. He understands exactly what's happening. She isn't reaching out because she truly misses him. She's reaching out to see if he's still an option, if he reacts, if he gives her that validation. She wins, and the cycle begins all over again. That's why he doesn't take the bait. He doesn't ignore her out of spite. He ignores her because she's no longer relevant to his life. And that realization, more than anything, is what shatters her. She expected a reaction, a response, a sign that he was still affected. But instead, there's nothing. If he does choose to respond, it's brief, polite, and distant. "How have you been?" she asks. "Good." That's it. No details, no openings for further conversation, no indication that he's been sitting around waiting for this moment. The energy is completely different. She can feel it. Where there was once longing, now there's only calm indifference. And that's when the panic sets in. For the first time, she's the one wondering, does he still think about me? Does he have someone else? Did I make a mistake? She thought she had the upper hand. She thought she could control the situation. But now, she's the one feeling rejected. And the harder she tries to figure him out, the more powerless she feels. This is the ultimate test. The moment where true self-mastery is revealed. Those who pass this test never go back. They've outgrown the need for validation, outgrown the desire for anyone's approval. And in doing so, they come to understand something profound. The past has nothing left to offer them. If you're ready to reclaim your power, to rise above and take control of your life, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. I am in control. Number 9. The final shift. Becoming truly unbreakable. There comes a point in every man's journey when he finally understands that he's free. Not because she reached out, not because he won the breakup, but because for the first time she no longer matters. Her name doesn't spark any emotion. Her memory no longer haunts him. He no longer feels the need to prove anything, to her or to himself. He is unbreakable. This is the final shift. The moment when pain ceases to be a burden and transforms into nothing more than a distant lesson. The moment when he wakes up and realizes that he no longer cares if she regrets losing him, if she still thinks about him, or if she notices his success, because he's too busy living, and that's what truly destroys her. It's not the silence, it's not the indifference, it's the undeniable fact that she no longer has any hold over him. She thought she could always return one day, that the door would remain open. She believed he would always carry a part of her in his heart. But when she finally looks back, she finds nothing, no trace of the man she once knew. Instead, she sees a man who has evolved far beyond her reach. She becomes irrelevant to his story. This is where most people fail. They think moving on is about replacing someone, about proving a point, about getting revenge. But true power isn't found in seeking validation. It's found in no longer needing it. He doesn't move on to make her jealous. He doesn't grow to make her regret. He becomes unbreakable because that's who he was meant to be all along. And when he reaches this stage, something incredible happens. The past loses all meaning. He doesn't look back because there's nothing worth looking at. He doesn't care if she misses him because it no longer matters. He has stepped into a new reality, one where he is the master of his own fate. This is what real strength looks like. It's not about chasing. It's not about proving. It's about existing in a way that commands respect without uttering a word. He is no longer a victim of heartbreak. He has become a force of nature, a man who has risen from the ashes, stronger than ever. And the best part? The story was never really about her. It never was. If you're ready to embrace your own transformation, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. I never look back. Number 10. The new reality. A life on his terms. This is it. The final transformation. The moment he fully steps into the life he was always destined to live. A life on his terms. No longer shaped by heartbreak. No longer haunted by the past. No longer waiting for someone to recognize his worth. Because he already knows his own value. He doesn't wonder what could have been. He doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care who she's with or if she regrets walking away. He doesn't care if she still stalks his profile, hoping to catch a glimpse of the man she once knew. Because that man no longer exists. What exists now is something far greater. A man who has rebuilt himself from the ground up. A man who has mastered his emotions, sharpened his mind, and hardened his spirit. He walks into every room with a quiet, unshakable confidence, not because he's seeking attention, but because he doesn't need anything from anyone. The validation he once craved, irrelevant. The attention he once sought, meaningless. He doesn't need to be seen. His presence is felt, and that's the part she never saw coming. She thought he'd always hold space for her, always keep the door cracked open just a little. She thought that one day she could return and find him exactly where she left him. But when she finally looks back, he's gone. Not in some petty, I'll block you to prove a point kind of way. No, he's gone because he outgrew her. And that's the real power move. Not revenge, not bitterness, just indifference. He doesn't look back because the past has nothing left to offer him. He doesn't need closure because the life he's built is his closure. His success is the final chapter, not a conversation, not an explanation, just becoming so untouchable that the past becomes irrelevant. And that's what breaks her. Not that he moved on, not that he's doing better, but she no longer exists in his world. She's nothing more than a lesson, a memory of a chapter long closed. While she remains stuck in the past, questioning everything, he's thriving in a reality she will never be part of again. Because in the end, the strongest man isn't the one who wins her back. It's the one who becomes so powerful that he never even considers it. If you're ready to take control of your life, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. I am unstoppable. This is where the journey ends. But for you, it's only the beginning. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop waiting, the moment you step fully into your power, that's when everything changes. Because this was never about her. It was never about making her regret her choices. It was about you, about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to look back. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need validation from anyone. You are the prize. And when you truly embody that truth, the past loses all meaning. The regrets, the heartbreak, the overthinking, all of it fades into nothing. In its place stands a man who is untouchable, a man who controls his own destiny. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of most. Many men never reach this stage. They remain stuck in an endless cycle, waiting, hoping, suffering. But not you. You've taken the first step toward becoming something far greater. Now it's time to finish what you started. Keep building yourself. Master your emotions. Keep moving forward. Because once you become unshakable, once you become truly free, life is no longer about proving anything to anyone. It's about living on your terms. So, if you're ready to continue evolving, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And comment below one final time, I control my destiny. From this point forward, no one else ever will.